welcome to another episode of Makeup with Elle. If this is your first time on my channel, my name is Jaclyn. Today we're doing a super fun video where I use Instagrammer and YouTubers makeup. When I started on my makeup journey, I turned to YouTube to actually teach me how to do everything. And then a huge part and influence on that was a creator named Dominique. It was really cool because watching her videos taught me where to put everything and the proper techniques for absolutely everything. I just love the idea that you can turn to YouTube to teach you anything that you want to know. There are some pretty badass CEOs out there who are on this very same platform, so this is a tribute to you. After learning and going through that learning process with makeup, I actually found a lot of different influencers on Instagram and YouTube that I started to admire and watch how they did their makeup. And then there was an influencer that I felt like I related to really well. Her name is Jaclyn, and she came up with the perfect product in the perfect packaging. The inspiration for the creation of this video was actually this dragon egg. This packaging is absolutely beautiful, and she created it to kind of express herself through her products, and I just think it is so freaking adorable. In this egg is an orange color corrector and a powder that just helps your face look absolutely flawless. Now, I tend to color correct my face a lot because I feel like there's tons of pigmentation in my face, so the product itself was absolutely awesome, and this is what they look like. I really love all the products that I used on my face today. I feel like they worked so perfectly together. If you like this look and you want to see how I got it, just continue watching. And if you want to see more videos like this, subscribe to my channel and hit the notification button. Now let's get right into the video. I already went ahead and did my eyebrows off camera, so we are going to go ahead and move on to shaping my eyebrows just a little bit more and like cleaning it up using the Kylie Concealer in the shade Sand. I'm going to take a little bit of that and put it on the back of my hand because I only need a tiny bit, and then I'm going to take a flat brush. This is a brush from the Dominique Cosmetics collection, and I'm going to underline my eyebrows. And I do this very softly and pretty slow just because I want to make sure I get a straight line and it's as clean as possible. I'm going to take that and I'm going to fill in the rest of my lid with that just so that I can set that lid and it has time to just kind of sit there and soak into my eyelid. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the top of my eyebrow. If I'm 100% honest, I've honestly been working on trying to get my eyebrow nice and clean and neat. So I think it's really a work in progress, but I like the way that this eyebrow turned out. We're just going to try to do it on the other side. I am very aware of how crazy I'm looking right now. I'm just going to use my finger to kind of tap that in and blend it in with my skin a little bit better. I actually really love these concealers because they're really lightweight, but they are very pigmented, so like there's a lot of color payoff to them. So I'm just blending that into my forehead, and as you can see, the line kind of dissolves as I kind of blend it in with my finger. And I'm going to tap that into my eye. And there are my eyebrows. Next, I'm going to prime my face using the Jelly Pop Primer. I was super excited when this came out, and although it's not an influencer brand, I really love it right now, so we are going to go ahead and use this. And I'm putting that all over my face. I love this primer because it has like a tacky feel to it, so it just like pulls on my skin, and that allows for the foundation to really like grip onto my face, which I love. So we are gonna move on. Since I've already set my eyes with the concealer, I'm gonna move straight into my eyeshadow palette. For my eye look, I'm actually super conflicted about which palette I want to use. I have in my hands 3 of Dominique Cosmetics eye palettes. She just came out with the 4th, and I'm so super proud of her. She is my favorite YouTuber of all time and influencer. And my typical looks consist of the latte palette. It's more of the caramels, the browns, the yellows, the oranges, and I literally love it. But I think I'm actually going to use the berries and cream palette for this look, just because I don't use it as much. And look at these colors. This palette is super beautiful, and it has the burgundies and the maroons and like lots of pops of glitter in it. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this. But for the sake of it, I'm gonna also show you the Rustic Glam palette. It's one of the newer palettes in her collection, and it is also super beautiful. I actually want to correct myself. She has 4 palettes out total right now. I do not have the Lemonade palette in my collection. She just came out with her 5th one, so I wanted to correct myself. But the Rustic Glam palette is super beautiful, and it has this like bohemian chic kind of look, but I'm still going to use the Berries and Cream palette for this particular look. For my eye look, I'm going to be using 2 sets of brushes. The first is actually a Christine Dominique set, and she has these beautiful white brushes that came with the Rustic Glam palette. They launched them around the same time. And I'm also going to be using the Jaclyn Hill X Morphe collection. I think that these brushes are awesome. I really love Morphe kind of as a brand. It's like a cheaper option that's super amazing. So I'm going to be using both of these brush sets for this eye look. So starting with a Jaclyn Hill brush, because it's fluffy and it's bigger, I am going to take my first transition shade, which is going to be the color Soft and Sweet, right in the corner. So I'm going to tap into that, tap off all the excess, and then I'm going to pat that all over my eyelid. This shade is just a little bit darker, and it has a little bit more pink than my skin tone, so it's a perfect transition shade. This is my go-to transition shade in the whole palette. Next, I'm going to go into the color Toasted. It's the shade right here. And it's a little bit more of a cooler tone kind of color, but it'll fit in. And I'm going to take that shade and I'm going to put that right into the crease of my eye. I don't know if I've told you guys this before, but I kind of create a fake crease for myself because I have hooded eyes. It's really hard for me to place the color just into my crease because it kind of hides it once I open my eye. You can't really see the shade. So I make a fake crease for myself. And I like to open my eye once I'm swiping my brush, just so I can see where that color is going to lay down. So I close my eyes for the majority of the time, and then I'll occasionally, as I'm wiping that color on, open my eye to see where it's going to fall. And as you can see, it's already turning into this very beautiful mauve color. I'm going to place that in the outer corner of my eye just to kind of build that dimension in that outer corner. And then bring it right back in. Sometimes I like to finish one entire eye and then move on to the next with that shade. But days like today, I want my eyes to look as close to the same as possible. So you'll see me go back and forth between my eyes. That's not typically how I do my eyes, but today I'm just very intent on getting them to look as similar as possible. Now taking the original brush I was using right back into that first transition shade, I'm going to take that and I'm going to blend the outer corner. So I'm not going into my crease with this, but I'm staying in the outer corner on top of that color, just so I can blend those two colors together. That way it's super smooth and it doesn't look like there's a line of one color and then it moves on to the next. Next, using another brush from Dominique Cosmetics, I'm going to go ahead and dig into Chocolate Mousse. That's the darker shade on the palette right in here. And I'm going to take this color just a little bit on the brush, and I'm going to put that in the outer corner of my eye. So I'm making circular motions on the outer corner of my eye to smoke out the very end, so that when I open my eye, it has this nice effect as it kind of moves from the inner corner to the outer corner of my lid. So circular motions. And as I'm doing this very lightly because I want that to blend with the other colors. I don't want it to just sit on top of the other colors. As it starts to get to the color that I like, I'm going to take that a little bit into the lid. Not a lot. I'm not adding extra color onto my brush, but but I'm just going to swipe it a tiny bit in towards the inner corner of my eye. That way that color is not just at the very end and it looks kind of off. It'll be blended in perfectly with the rest of my lid. So again, I'm going to place this chocolate mousse on the outer corner, and then I'm going to do circular motions to blend it in. Moving on, I'm going to grab that Jaclyn Hill brush again, not adding any more product onto it. It still has that corner shade in it, the transition shade we used. And I'm going to just swipe that all over my eyelid, blending all of those colors perfectly. In order for an eye look to look amazing, the colors need to be blended perfectly into each other and not look like you just placed them there. So I'm just going to blend until I feel like everything looks seamless on my eye. I know that I'm looking a little bit crazy still, but moving on, I'm going to move into the shimmer shade in the palette, and the color that I'm going to use is called Honey Dipped, and it is this beautiful golden color right in the bottom corner. I'm going to take the same brush that I used for my eyebrows, and I'm going to spray that a little bit just so that that color sticks. I don't necessarily want to do a cut crease, but I want this glitter to like pop on my eye. I'm going to take that brush, and I love this brush because it's super flat and you can place glitter on your eye so perfectly and seamlessly with it. But I'm going to take it and I'm going to just place the glitter on my eye and drag it towards the back of my eye. Look at how beautiful this color is. The shimmers from the Dominique Cosmetics palettes are like crazy real. They are super pigmented. You don't have to work too hard to get them to work with you. And I just am in love with all of the colors on the palette. This kind of reminds me of the creme brulee color in the latte palette, but just a little bit more gold than it, and it is beautiful. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to bring that up closer to the top of my crease, or the top of my fake crease. And then there's some glitter that's kind of sticking out on my eye. I'm going to take the other side of my brush where there's no glitter, and I'm just going to press that in. And so without a cut crease, I went ahead and put that color on my eye, and it stands out. It's nice and kind of cut, and it looks amazing. I'm going to move on to the other side. I think the hardest part about doing an eye look like this is making sure that the glitter goes equally as high on both sides. My eyes sometimes don't look alike because that's my struggle, but we're going to try our best today. Now, so that this blends in perfectly, I'm going to dip into the color Warm Pie. It's like a burgundy-ish glitter, and I'm going to take that and I'm going to place that on the end of that gold color. So basically I want it to look like it's going from gold to burgundy on my eye, and it looks beautiful. These colors are playing really nicely into each other, and that's what I love about these palettes as well, is that these colors work together in any combination that you could potentially think of, and it's just amazing. Next, taking that original brush, I keep going back to it, I'm going to go ahead and diffuse the very top. And that's it. That's my eye look. I'm going to put on some eyeliner and I will be right back. I went ahead and did my eyeliner off camera, and I think that this look needs some eyelashes, so we'll do that at the very end. But I'm super excited to introduce to you the whole reason and inspiration for this video. I have actually been wanting it and looking at it online for a pretty long time, and I finally did it. So I have here the, drumroll? Okay. I have the Nikita Dragon Egg, and if you ask me, this is the most Jahida thing that could ever be in a video ever. I have all of my favorite things in the room, I have all of my Minnie Mouse ears right behind me, and now I have a freaking purple dragon egg. This dragon egg actually has real makeup in it, and I'm so excited to show you what it is. So in my dragon egg, there is, ta-da! There are 2 awesome products in here. The first is an orange color corrector, which every once in a while I use orange color corrector when I feel like my skin is not very even. So I'm super excited to use this. And then there is a setting powder, or a powder, I'm not sure if it's called setting powder, but there is a yellow and a pink powder for color correcting and just to look beautiful, or as Nikita likes to say, super snatched. So here's the color corrector, and I will warn you that when I put this on my face, it's going to be super dark, but there is a reason for all of it, I pinky swear. And so we are going to go ahead and color correct our face. Unfortunately, I have dark areas right above my lip. I have dark areas around my chin and then under my eye. I made myself look like a dragon. Like Mushu from Mulan. And so I know, again, that this makes me look like it's very orange on my face, but I promise you it is going to blend in. And I promise you because I tried it. So, believe me. Next I'm going to go ahead and just pat that into my skin. I'm using a damp beauty blender, or a damp Morphe blender. On a scale of 1 to 10, comment down below, how crazy do I look? Now that that's blended in, I'm just going to tap it in with my fingers to warm it up and make sure there's not any like deep colors, that it all looks fairly even. I'm looking very pumpkin spice-ish right now. By the way, pumpkin spice lattes came out at Starbucks today. But if you're watching this, yesterday. So if you're in the mood, go get yourself one. Not that Starbucks sponsors me or anything, but I like me the occasional pumpkin spice latte, and that's what I look like right this instant. Anyway, moving on to foundation now that that is deep into my skin. For my foundation, I'm going to be using the Fenty Beauty foundation, and I love this. And I can't really say that Rihanna is an influencer because she's so much more than that, but she influences lives in her Instagram and in real life, so I'm just gonna go with it. I'm gonna take my foundation and I'm going to pour it on the back of my hand. If you have seen other videos before, placing it directly on my face never works for me, so we're going to play it safe and we are going to put it on the back of our hand. I'm going to take a couple pumps of that. I'm going to take my Morphe blender and I'm going to dot it onto my face first, just so that I can have some controlled coverage. And then I'm going to start just pressing that into my skin very lightly. This foundation has very high coverage. It's just covering up that color corrector that I placed on my skin. And even though it's like super orange, it just covers all of it up. So I'm going to tap that in until I have nice even coverage on my entire face. I'm not going to be too worried about under my eye because I'm still going to place eyeshadow under there as well as concealer, so I'm not going to hyper focus on that area. But all the areas where I have color corrector, I'm just going to tap that in. I think that this foundation works in a lot of ways. Like, it has a matte finish, but it's not too matte. And then it's super high coverage. It feels super light on the skin, so when I pat it onto the skin, it makes this very light layer, but it works really well. I'm going to place another tiny layer of that foundation on, just to make sure I covered all of the orange. So I'm going to focus that on the bottom of my face. And then I'm going to drag it right down my neck. That's just anything that's excess is going to go right down my neck to blend in that color for me. I'm going to take a clean side of my beauty blender and just kind of tap all over my face to make sure that that's blended perfectly without adding any more pigment or taking any away. I'm just blending it in. Moving on, we are going to use the Kylie Concealers in 2 different shades. The first shade is to lighten up my under eye, and it is in the shade Gypsum. And I'm going to take that and I'm going to place it under my eye in a triangle shape, because I really like the way that it lightens up under my eyes. I'm going to take that right along the bridge of my nose and then right on my chin, because I feel like my chin needs a little extra coverage a lot of the time, just because it creases right in the middle. And I'm going to take that right in my smile lines as well. Because the Kylie Concealer is super pigmented, the darker shade that I'm going to place, which is the same sand color that I used for my eyebrows, I'm just going to place a little bit of that for color correcting to make me look super awake. Using the same beauty blender, just softer pats, I'm going to blend that in underneath my eye. Now what I typically do when I'm doing my concealer, just so that I don't get any of the lines and creasing under my eye, is I take my mirror and I place it kind of a little bit higher than usual. And then I pull my chin downwards and look up at the mirror. What that does is it stretches out the skin right underneath your eye and allows for you to kind of just pat that product right into those creases. That way when the product sets, it's not going to set into those creases and make it stand out more than usual. So you want a nice flat surface. And I'm going to move right around my face, just making sure everything is patted in perfectly. I'm going to take that right around my lips. So we are going to contour in a couple seconds, so it might look really bright right now, but the contour is going to help with that. Usually I will move over to the other side of my eye, but for the sake of this video, I'm just going to tilt my head just a little bit, so I'm kind of doing the same motion, and I'm able to see the entire bottom of my eyelid. So even lighter pats, you don't want to add or remove any of that makeup, you just kind of want it to set into the face. While that concealer kind of sets into my face and letting it dry up a little bit, I'm going to go ahead and place a color underneath my lid. I'm going to take a Jaclyn Hill brush, and it's very tiny, and I'm going to dip it into the color Warm Pie. That's the color that we placed right in the middle there, and I'm going to dab that just a little bit. With my fingers, I'm going to press my brush so that it's flat, and I'm going to place that underneath my eyelid. And so making sure that it's flat allows for more color control. Like your hands are super close to your eyes, but it allows for the color to stay exactly where you want it to be. Now I like to place the color when my eyelids are still kind of drying up with that concealer, just because it'll allow it to stick to that area more. My eyes tend to water very quickly, so it allows for that just to kind of stick to underneath my eyelids. Moving on, we are going to take that beauty blender and we're just going to clean that up in the areas that we got outside of the lines or extended past where we originally wanted to go. And so moving on, we are going to continue on to bronzing our face. Now the next influencer that I want to talk about is Huda Beauty, and she has a lot of beautiful products from eye palettes to eyeshadows. She has a highlighter palette that's super beautiful, but specifically we are going to work with the Tantour. It comes with this beautiful two-sided brush, one for applying the makeup, the other for blending it out, and I just think this duo is super amazing. It is going to look really dark on my skin, so I'm going to go ahead and apply it in the areas that I would normally contour my face, so right on my forehead, on the side of my face, on the side of my nose, right at the bottom of my nose, a little tiny bit right above and below my lips, and then we're going to do the same on the other side. Next, we're going to take the brush side, and we're not going to swipe it too much because that'll take the color off of your face, but we are going to pat that into the skin. You want to do little swiping motions, but nothing crazy that it just removes all your foundation and the contour. But you're just going to do small patting motions, little baby swipes, so that it sinks into your skin without removing product. So again, we're patting, we're just going a little bit faster. It's the same level of intensity, just the speed is picked up. You keep doing that until that contour is nice and sunk into the face. If I'm 100% honest, sometimes when I am blending things out, I tend to get tired of patting into one place at the same time. So I'll move on to the rest of the face and then I'll go back to it. So if you see that I left large streaks, I will get back to it. What I love about this product is that it is nice and dark, but what it does is it doesn't necessarily leave you bronzy. It leaves kind of a shadow there, so it like strictly contours your face. And then I love to take a actual bronzer and place it on top just so that there's some dimension to the face. So you'll see what I mean in a couple minutes. So you'll see that there's like a shadow or halo effect on the side of my face. If I were to leave it just like this, it would look a little bit weird, but you'll see what we're gonna do. I'm taking the corner of that brush right above and below the lips. That way I don't get contour all over my lips or all over the middle of my face, and just kind of leaving it exactly where I placed it. Any excess product, I just take it right down underneath my chin because I want to get rid of my double chin. I don't have one though, so it's fine. It's fine. Whew. It's a contour break. So as you can see, the product was very dark when I started placing it onto my skin. Then it kind of neutralized itself out. What I like to do next is I like to take my blender where the concealer originally was, and I'm going to take that excess concealer and kind of clean up areas where I kind of went too far. So usually I clean up this area here and the bridge of my nose. Because the brush is very thick, when I try to contour my nose, it just kind of gets everywhere. So I take that right back down the bridge of my nose and on the other side to sharpen up that contour. So it's always a good idea to kind of leave some excess product on your beauty blender, to not worry about it because it comes in handy. Taking another clean side of the blender, if you notice, I tend to use every side of the blender every time I'm doing my face, just because I don't like using multiple blenders for one look. But taking another clean side on the blender, I'm just going to pat everything in. Because I'm finished up with my cream products, once I put powder on top of this, I don't want anything out of place. I don't want to set anything that shouldn't be set. So I'm just going to tap into all of the places, making sure there's no bumps or lumps or anything that shouldn't be somewhere. Like right under my nose, I found some excess orange. So I'm going to the concealer part of my blender and I'm just going to tap it in those areas. Next, we're going to get into the setting process. And I typically like to use the lighter shades before I use darker shades on my face. Darker shades are kind of harder to get rid of and to fix. So what I'm going to do first is, using the Jaclyn Beauty very beautiful packaging, look at that holographic look, I'm going to take, ooh, there's a very long mirror in there. I'm going to take actually a mixture of these two shades here, the yellow and the pink, and I'm going to take a flattish brush. I'm going to take this foundation brush, making sure nothing's kind of hanging out on that brush. I'm going to dip into both of those colors. And then using that, I'm going to set under my eye. Using that same motion that I was using for the concealer, I'm going to look down and kind of pat upwards on that powder. So I didn't bake, I'm just kind of setting after the fact. And this powder is meant to kind of just set things, make everything look mattified and kind of like a filter. She describes it as a filter on your face, and so it's like real life Facetune. It's pretty sweet. And I'm going to set the bottom of this contour right in here. And taking my very fluffy, beautiful tart brush, I'm going to wipe off any excess. Next, I'm going to take the Hoola bronzer and I'm going to set my contour. So I'm going to take a little bit on a brush, tap off the excess, you don't want too much, and I'm going to place it in all of the areas where I placed that contour. Just to add in that bronziness, to add in that tan look so it doesn't look too ashy on the face, and to set that contour. So I'm doing wiping and swiping and turning motions just because I want it to look as natural as possible. So I don't want it to look like it's one-dimensional and swiped up. So you'll see me actually using different motions with my brushes just so that it looks more natural, even though we're not really going for a natural kind of look. We are almost done. Next, I'm going to put on blush using the shade Party, and I've used this before on my channel, so I'm not going to give it too much of an introduction, but I really love the shade of it. I think it matches really pretty with my eye look today. It's like a darker shade. And I'm going to place that in the usual places. Using my beauty blender one more time, I'm just going to make sure, again, everything is where it's supposed to be, nice and even. Just bounce that around my face a little bit. Next, we're going to go ahead and spray our face. Now, typically, when people do their makeup, they spray their face last after everything is all in place. But I have had a ton of issues with my eyeliner smearing or my lipstick kind of running all over the place. So we are going to spray our face. We are going to make sure that that dries, and then we are going to finish up everything else on the face. I'm using the MAC Fix Plus in the scent Coconut. And then I'd like to introduce you to Fanny. Her name is Fanny. You get it? I'm just gonna make sure that that is nice and dry. I think this is the best purchase I've ever bought on Amazon. If you like pina coladas. Now that you met my new friend Fanny, we are gonna move on to the rest of her face. I am gonna line my lower lash line with a brown pencil, and I'm gonna take that and I'm just going to pull down on my eyelid. I don't know how girls just like put the pencil into their eye. I don't understand it, so I pull down on my eyelid just a little bit and color in my lid. That's just to add a little bit of color and dimension to my eye. It is not meant to really just pop out at you, it's just to kind of even out that eye look and make sure that you don't see my waterline as much. I was a little bit better with my left eye. I think I put the pencil a little bit closer to my eye that time. We are going to move on to our lower lash line, so we're going to place some mascara down there. And then today I'm going to put eyelashes on, but I'm going to do that off camera just because I'm terrified to do it on camera. For the lips, we have 3 different shades of the Dominique Cosmetics lippies. I made an executive decision. I am going to combine 2 colors together. The first is the shade Babe, that's the lighter color right down here, and the second is Heartbeat, which is a darker color. So I decided to do this because the lighter color, and you can see I did some testing on my lips, the lighter color is a little too pink for the look, and so it's a little too pink of a color on my lip, but when you mix it with Heartbeat, it kind of turns into this pretty mauve color. It takes some blending, so I'm going to use my finger to blend that out a little bit. And so I'm going to take the NYX pencil and I'm going to line the outer parts of my lip just to kind of bring those 2 colors together and straighten out that line. The last thing I'm going to do is clean up that line on my lip because I'm not perfect when it comes to lipstick. I'm still working on that. And then I have also used this on my page before, but this is the Prisma Glow from Dominique Cosmetics. I'm going to take some of the skin gloss and use it as highlighter on the sides of my face. So I'm going to tap that in. And I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to dig into the shade Fire Glow. And I'm going to place that right over it. That way, anywhere that someone could potentially see my face, they're going to see it glowing. Here is my final look with lashes, and I feel like this turned out super awesome. All the products that I use I'm super comfortable with just because I tend to gravitate towards brands that I love and I use all the time. So I have had a lot of practice with all of the brands that I use today. So I feel like this look kind of just came together very perfectly, if I do say so myself. And I finally put lashes on a look, and so I just felt like it was one of those extra kind of looks that I needed to kind of bump it up just a little bit. Comment down below who your favorite YouTubers or influencers are, or if there's any makeup products that I should try. I appreciate you spending time with me and watching how I created this look. I love you guys so, so much. Bye.